Good afternoon, Niall.
Hello, Tiernan. How are you?
Not bad, you.
Good, thank you. Good, good.
Thank you for joining me.
Well, thank you for inviting me. It's
So, how's your day been so far?
been good. I had a few meetings this morning in the city, rushed back here for another meeting, and then I had lunch, and I'm back in the zone as such.
Three
Yeah.
meetings in one day.
Yes, Monday. So, which is unusual because usually people work from home on Mondays, so they should be actually remote. But no, these were all in person, which
I
which is kind of good. I think I prefer in person
used to
meetings.
dread one meeting a month. That's impressive, man.
I know, exactly. But yeah, no, this morning's meeting was good, so it went well. So I was happy with it.
So, on that note, actually, what does a typical day look like for you as an operations director?
Oh, well. Every day's different, I would say. Uh, I'm with the company JacobsMassey for 10 years next year in March.
Congrats.
Um, so thank you. So I started as a admin support with the company initially. Always in the freelance division. I've always worked in the freelance division, which is fast paced, very much so. Obviously, we have times in the year that it's not as busy, but yeah, it is a very fast paced role. You're dealing with a lot of people,
Mm.
200 plus freelancers at least per week out.
Holy moly.
Yeah, so you're working with a lot of people as well, which can be challenging, but it's also very rewarding as well.
Mm.
So typically, yeah, I deploy freelancers with my team. We deploy to various corporations and businesses around central London and beyond as well. So it's allocating those assignments. That's our main goal every day is allocating new incoming assignments that are coming in. Also visiting clients as well, seeing how things are going, catching up with clients, catching up with contractors that we have on any particular site as well. And most importantly, it's actually meeting new freelancers. So that I do that two or three times a day, every day. Usually Monday to Thursday is usually when I spend at least three meetings a day meeting new potential freelancers that want to register with the agency. So yeah, that's it kind of in a nutshell. Also, there's also admin on top of that as well, because we have a lot of new compliance procedures, old and new, I should say. There's all compliance has always been there, but that keeps updating each year. So we're keeping on top of that as well. So yeah,
Okay.
that's it, kind of in a nutshell.
Man, yeah, you're doing something I could never do.
Oh no, trust me, anybody can do it. But it's good, and as you know, the industry has changed so much as well, which is exciting as well. Which has its challenges, but more so, I'd say it has more advantages as well.
Mm.
Yeah,
I can imagine, especially on the rewarding part, 'cause I can see how that could turn out.
yeah,
200 people a week is,
yeah. It's a lot of people,
and it all
and
works in the end, and that must feel amazing.
yeah, it does. It is, and it's especially when you see the start of an event that you know that's been worked on for a couple of months, and you know you participated is a key element in that event by having the correct people, the correct equipment as well, and the correct venue. Because I don't know, you probably know as well that we have a production division here at JM as well. So me and my team, we supply internally to that division as well when they need freelancers for their events. So that in particular is quite rewarding as well.
That's cool though, I must say.
Yeah.
Like director of a secret agent organization of AV techs flying around.
Well, yeah, we've been in business 20 plus years now, so we are quite well known in the industry, which is good. And it's good, it's good to hear when people know what of you, but you don't
Mm,
know them. I
mm.
always think that's really good. It's like, oh, yeah, I know Jacob's Massive. Like, oh, do you really? But that's what it was like initially. But yeah, now I kind of know, yeah, the company is well known within the industry. So yeah.
What are some of your biggest, if you're allowed to say, clients?
Biggest clients, our biggest portfolio of clients are corporate event venues in around central London. So they're event venues that may have a actual identity themselves, so they're probably a royal society of something. So whatever they're a society of, their events usually are tailored around that area. But also they'll have a commercial arm as well, so they'll hire their spaces out to clients as well. That could be just somebody that actually wants to get married. They might want
Yeah.
to get married, and they want to have their ceremony in that building because it probably is a listed building as well, so it's quite historic. Uh, that's our main client in our client portfolio. That's our main client is corporate event venues. Yeah, which most of which will have AV team in there already. So we're just there to backfill when they have an overspill of events. Again, not to keep talking about the pandemic, but I think it is important that we do mention the pandemic because it has had a major impact on events. So I, I do have to refer back to it a lot because it still does affect us in events because it's changed so much in events. It has changed events so much. Um, so with that, a lot more crew are required on a typical event. So that's why a lot of those venues will depend on agency as well. And like JacobsMassey to have an A2, for example, or they might want an A1 audio tech to take control of the full event, along with a vision mixer, cam op, stream tech for manager sometimes as well. So again, that's predominantly our main clients is corporate event venues as well as the art sector with the universities, galleries,
Museums.
and museums. Yeah, and then we'll also supply into the high-end corporate side of things like banks and law firms as well.
Very busy.
Yeah,
Very busy.
yeah, yeah. But it's good. It's good. I much prefer being busier than not being busy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're going into the downtime now with Christmas because people are starting to go on leave. And then from mid-January, then it should kick off again. And then it's all go then till the summer.
Speaking of
Yeah.
teams,
Yeah.
what do you think are the most important skills or qualities that you look for in AV tech?
Oh, good question. I think, yeah, obviously having a music or live event background is important, is good to have. And the technical skills, definitely, obviously. But for me, I think one of the main things is actually your communication skills and your client facing skills. I think that will take you a long way for an AV freelancer, is managing the client professionally and just managing their expectations. That definitely goes a long way on an event because, like, if you're on a live event, a lot of the time you'll be working with the speakers. They're going to be very nervous because
Yeah.
sometimes they won't have spoken in front of 500 people before, so they are going to be very nervous. So you think a big part of the AV tech on an event is keeping them calm and relaxed, and being friendly and joking, and actually probably talking about something completely different as to what's going on in the day, just to keep them relaxed. I think that is, to me, that's one of the most important things to have.
Yeah.
Um, because obviously you do have to have some technical experience because you can't just walk in and think you can run a sound desk and never haven't looked at one before. That's a given, but I think a lot of people do forget that client side of things, and it goes a long way. It definitely goes a whole long way, and yeah, that to me would be one of the main skills I would say for any AV tech to have.
I agree on that actually.
Yeah,
When I was learning how to A2, the main thing that my senior tech told me is make sure the clients like you, right? Because
yeah,
they're sticking a mic onto them. It's usually pretty uncomfortable and weird. They have to be
mm,
quiet on their shirt, or like a lady wearing a dress, it has to be like on her back, and it's pretty funky process, especially if you're doing it for the first time. So
yeah,
like ask them how the day was, how the travel was, what they're doing.
exactly,
Be
exactly.
enough that they won't mind you sticking a gross cold wire down their shirt.
Yeah, yeah. No, it is true. I had a teacher before too that told my brother before on a report card, oh, his personality is going to take him a long way. And my brother he has been quite successful in his career, and I think it was definitely true. And at the time, my brother was like, "Well, what's that supposed to mean?" But I think it has taken him a lot further in his career, probably
Yeah,
with his own business, etc. So, yeah, I think that's definitely it definitely does. help on an event to have something that's very personal there by the side of the speakers, presenters, the event coordinators as well, which are very important, keeping them relaxed and comfortable and ensuring that we get the event's all under control technically, and yeah, we're ready to go live now. So yeah.
Yeah. Always good to remember.
Yeah,
Client face is
indeed.
very important.
Exactly. Yeah. I think sometimes you see it on a job spec and you're like, oh yeah, anybody can client face, and yeah, and it gets kind of brushed over. But it's probably the one of the most important things on a live event. Because sometimes you will actually have something dedicated just to do that. It's usually called a floating tech, and they are their main job is to go around, and they're the go-between the technicians that are in the control room and the speakers that are down on the stage. And that is their main job. They're not doing anything technical, but they're there to communicate between both ends. So yeah, it is, and it goes a long way on an event. And a lot of venues and event coordinators and planners are adopting this model now of having a what they call a floating tech. Sometimes it can be a more senior level. It can be a lead tech. So that lead tech will be involved in a lot of preparatory meetings as well with the client. So they're in the know as to when the next call is, the whole running order. They almost know it off by heart for an event. So yeah.
Remember that it used to roll that way where the lead tech was the main liaison.
Yeah, basically, and like with that comes good communication skills and being able to, and obviously some clients will be difficult because it's a big event for them and they've got their bosses in the audience, so they're going to be quite nervous before that, and it's just keeping that calm, relaxed atmosphere before they go live. And that's funny then, post-event, everybody's completely different
Yeah.
as to what they were like before the
Woo!
event. Yeah,
Stress over. They're all super
yeah,
happy.
yeah, which is quite funny when you think about it. But it is, it's a good sign, obviously, when they're all nice and happy towards the end. But I understand it. It can be very high pressured for all parties. But yeah.
Yeah. So more on the team, I say, is how can someone in an entry level role contribute effectively to large scale AV projects or events?
It is. It's I think the main thing I think is be willing to learn
Mm,
when you and keep an open mind. Um, we some freelancers that started at audio level, and that's fine. They were, and that's what they wanted to go in and do was audio on an event, and that's what they studied, and they're just trying to get their foot in. But just keep an open mind if you are working with a particular venue, because like I say, there's lots of disciplines now on events, and some of those audio techs now they've moved up, and I don't think moved up is the correct term, but they've transferred their skills onto other areas. So now, some of them upskilled during the pandemic to streaming, and that's all they do now is streaming on an event and vision mixing. They might do a bit of audio when needed, but yeah, so that's a good example of how you can move on to other things in AV. So it's quite a niche industry, but it's quite broad as well in
mm,
terms of different disciplines. So starting off, I would say just keep an open mind. If you do get like an opportunity to shadow something that you think, oh, well, that's not really the area that I thought I was going to work
just take
in,
it.
just do it. Just jump on, and you never know, you might end up loving it, and it might bring in other opportunities. And it could be that area is something that's really needed in an organization, but there's nobody there to do it, and
Mm,
you've got exposure now to get good experience on it. So why not expand on that?
agreed. I
Yeah.
think another important thing is just being an extra pair of hands. That's surprisingly useful
Yes.
considering how high level most AV techs are. Just an extra pair of hands are really helpful sometimes.
Yeah. Exactly. Because it could be that's very high pressure being on an event, and the more people that are there. I mean, obviously, you don't want completely swarmed with AV techs. If there's more AV techs than there are people in the room, that's not the best way. But yeah, just being there, open hand, being eager to learn as well goes a long way. And not concentrating on the area that you think that you're going to work in, because if you expand your skills, it'll take you a long, long way. Definitely.
Yeah, agreed. Um, Covered most of the team, but um, I'll ask you if you could also share, say, an example of the type of responsibilities and duties that an entry level member might have.
That's a good one. Again, it does differ because every organization will have different structures, different ways of working and planning an event, etc. But I think entry level definitely they will definitely be involved in the rig and D-rig on an event. So that will give you good exposure to the equipment that's being used on a typical event. I mean, it can be quite heavy lifting, like physically, literally.
Yeah.
But I think that gives you a good basis to the event, as to how the event is laid out. In the correct audio levels, the correct number of mics, lapel mics, handheld mics. So there's that starting off. The AV manager might move you up to actually miking up the presenters with lapel mics and making sure they're all ready with their handhelds as well. And obviously that's done professionally, and you're not invading anybody's spaces when you're doing that. Um, Also checking to see if presentations are up in order. So you will have a PowerPoint tag there already. Well, you should do anyway. And then just make sure that those presentations are in on time as well. They're probably the key things. I mean, there are companies that do work in rigging and de-rigging crewing specifically. Um, so it is a very, very important element to an event. So I think that's probably the main area where someone will start off first. And then they work their way up then to actually operating for the live event itself. So usually the rigger and de-rigger will be on hand around as an extra pair of hands, as we said, for the event, but they won't be doing any operational tasks as such.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's actually how I started as well.
Yeah.
Nothing and A2 and then the rest.
Yeah. Some
Yeah.
people they start off driving as well, if you can
Oh,
drive.
yeah, right.
So they're driving for equipment for production teams. So they'll start off in a production company, and it could be that they're doing the driving between venues, and then they might move into the rigging, and then from there, then they move on to operational side of things too. They start from the bottom, and then they're working their way up. Um, Not everyone starts that way because they do get lucky and they get straight into the event itself, whether that's because they've been involved in live bands before maybe, or they've been doing some studio work, so they do that and have that little bit more experience, so they don't need to start at that entry level as such. But I think it's a good place to start probably is doing rigging, because you're getting the good basis for an event that way, and
I'm
it's
seeing most of
te
what it has to offer as well. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. I mean, it mightn't be the most glamorous thing, but you're still getting that exposure into events. And yeah, and I know people that that's all they do. That's all they want. They just want to rig and de-rig, and that's it. Then they go home and then the event's done. Yeah.
So mentioning the sort of upskilling of job role,
Hmm.
um, most people find that it can be pretty tricky building a career in media as a whole and AV particularly, as there's obviously that gap between entry level internships, apprenticeships, some work experience, and then getting your first job, and an even harder bit of gaining the steady employment that a senior tech would usually
Hmm.
experience. What advice would you give to someone looking to bridge the gap between an entry level role and higher level AV roles? Um, Focus on freelance, focus trying to get hired full time.
I think freelancing is definitely a good route. When you talk about that bridge, it definitely is, because you'll get a range of experience in a range of different freelancers. It's not for everybody, but I think if it was me, if I was at that, personally, if I was at that level from entry to getting in a full-time job, I would try out freelancing for a while. Now there is obviously the obvious things to consider. It's not financially guaranteed to being a freelancer, but the big pro to it is you do gain experience,
Yeah.
and lots of different experience as well in different venues, museums, galleries, banks. I mean, they could not be more opposite. Technically, it's the same, but you're getting lots and lots of experience in those organizations. So that's if it was me and I was entry level, like what I want to, how do I get more experience? Try freelancing. And I don't want that to undermine freelancing, that anyone can do it if they don't have experience. You do have to have some sort of experience, but you've got a lot more opportunities to choose from. It could be that you're just freelancing to do rigging for a while, and then you move on then to doing some A2 work. Even some camera assistant work. So you're assisting a camera op on the day. Yeah, I think freelancing is the good route to go. You do get junior to technician, AV junior technician roles as well. There is definitely a need for that in the market, because organizations just need that someone that is a bit more multitask in terms of the day-to-day duties in the venue. And that could be looking after, predominantly it could be some venues adopt the model of, because they'll have meeting rooms as well.
Yeah.
Some businesses, and then they'll have their event space. So you'll start off looking after meeting rooms initially, and which is great. And people do that every day. You know, they look after meetings for the directors, etc. Whoever needs to meet. Like I'm in a meeting room here for today, and an AV tech showed me in here. So, and then because that falls under the umbrella of audiovisual, and then they'll eventually move on to the events side of things with their team. Yeah, sorry, I kind of answered that a little bit weirdly, but yeah, I think freelancing is definitely that to bridge that gap. I think it's a good approach to take, but I would just emphasize it's not financially guaranteed.
Yeah.
So just bear that in mind that you kind of you chase the work basically, as such.
If anyone's in need of freelance opportunities, well, you can speak to my friend over here.
Exactly. Yeah. 200 plus. Um, yeah, it is. It's we have I have freelancers. I personally don't. The company has freelancers that are freelance with us for since day one. They've never had a full-time role. They may have tried to get a full-time, not tried. They may have toyed with the idea of getting a full-time role, but no, they just get into that way of life that no, I don't want to work today, or yeah, I'll do that, or I'll do
Mm.
3 days next week, or don't get me wrong, in the pandemic, it was everything just dropped like everywhere. So that was a scary time for some. And when we came out of the pandemic, then we found there was a very obvious skill shortage, especially with freelancers. So a lot of people left the industry because they didn't want to take that gamble again. Some took full-time roles. Others left and went back to home of origin. So, obviously we don't want to go back to that side of things again. But I think if you asked a lot of freelancers themselves, they would sell it and say it works for them, basically. One thing I picked up on actually definitely in the last year or two is a lot of people, the reason for freelancing is, and it's not to get too political or whatever, but it is down to childcare.
Mm.
They just can't justify having, two people working full time and one essentially working for free. 'Cause all their money's going, all that salary is going on childcare. So it makes more sense to have somebody that's more flexible and they can do, say, evening work, or can work sometimes on weekends, while the other parent stays at home. So yeah, I've seen that growing a lot. That's the reason why they want to freelance is because they've got that more flexibility. And yeah, some days they might have to put the child into childcare, but they've worked out the maths. It's like, do you know what? It makes more. Just put them. Not basically put the child in, but
Yeah.
but you know what I mean? Yeah, let's use childcare for this day because I'm on X for the day, so it makes more sense. So yeah, that's definitely something that's increasing a lot when I ask, because obviously that is a question, why do you want to freelance?
Mm.
And a common answer is now is childcare. So
That's
yeah.
interesting. I didn't think of that, but that actually makes a lot of sense.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, yeah, and then others choose it because they just like that flexible way of working. And they like, they go here, that's
Mm.
it. They clock out 6 o'clock and that's it. And they're not involved in office politics as
Yeah,
well.
true.
So obviously they do the live event to the best of their ability and they give 100%, but it means they can just go home now and yeah, and then they go on to the next assignment. Yeah. And
Yeah.
then another part of it too, we do have freelancers that there are freelancers, but they're freelance contractors. So they'll take on an assignment for 3 months and then they move on to the next one. And it could be that they do the day-to-day support before they secure another contract, and then they'll move on to say a 6 month assignment somewhere. So there are definitely a need for that. There's definitely, sorry, a division within the freelance pool that solely work on those sort of contracts as well.
Yeah. So in essence, full time if you like security and sort of the day-to-day working and you have the time,
Yeah,
obviously.
yeah,
And freelance if you want to sort of cram in work, if you need the flexibility, if you have other commitments that require attention.
yeah,
Also, if you just want more work, more practice, for
yes,
example, if you're starting out.
yeah, yeah. And I would say a lot of our freelancers are musicians. They're in bands, they're
Yeah.
DJs. So that
I
is,
actually, yeah, like half of the
yeah,
ones I worked with are all musicians.
yeah, yeah. So that's what they love. They love, that's their passion is, and this is an element where they get to work in that, but it's not to the extent of working on Glastonbury, and that's completely different. But that's what they, that's part of their job, and then this is another part that they get to earn money basically, and put their expertise and skills to good use by doing that. But it's obviously not in the music side, but it is relative to their skill set. And I've not I wouldn't say we have freelancers that came in and they were musicians and no, they're no longer musicians, but sometimes it does, they end up working, say, in an organization and they just fall in love with the team there and then they end up just that's their full-time role then. And they probably thought that they were going to end up working full-time as a musician, but no, they ended up loving AV itself. So which is really good to see because it's probably it's not an industry that's known that well known, but it's great to see somebody that comes in and then they just love they fall in love with the industry, basically. Yeah.
So kind of on the musician side, but generally
Mm.
looking at the more technical aspect of the industry, what technologies or trends in the AV industry should an aspiring AV tech coming in, say now, maybe the next 2 to 5 years,
Mm.
focus on while building their career from the ground up? Because for me, it was get Dante, get the CTS, work as much as you can, pretty much.
Yeah. 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 I mean, to me, I'm always of the opinion all education is good. Any upskilling is good. Anything you can get a qualification of, it's not going to go to waste.
Yeah.
Um, One thing I don't like is when people call these, this isn't really related, when they say something's a Mickey Mouse degree. No, to me, no education is bad. If you're learning something, how is that bad?
Yeah, agreed.
Um, so I would say just keep up to date with technology. It is the technology industry, so everything keeps evolving. Try keeping up to date with the new sound desks, etc. But if it was me, if I was to upskill myself in this industry, I personally would try to get as much exposure in streaming softwares, vMix and OBS, for example. That's an element that was always in the industry. It was always in live events, but it's obviously excelled completely in the
COVID.
pandemic.
Yeah.
Um, and it's not going away. And it's not going to go away either. We were using the term hybrid event because it meant that people were dialing in online and everything. it's no longer a hybrid event now. It's just an event because it's the part and parcel. They've this event that's going on in the auditorium in such and such is going to be streamed out to numerous people, unless it's highly confidential. Sometimes that does happen, and the people that are in the room are the only people that will be able to participate. So that does happen occasionally, but I would say 9 times out of 10, it's going to be streamed out from somewhere. Because if you've got a law firm and they've got headquarters in New York, they no longer have to draft their 20 plus team over to London to sit down for 2 days. They can log in online now. So it's a win-win. And the event still goes ahead in London, and they have 20 people logging in from New York, and they save massively on costs and that way as well. So I think that's an area I would upskill in, and I think I would keep up to date on that. Don't get me wrong, if you're an audio tech, doesn't mean that you're solely then working on streaming. You'll always have that audio skill set that you can utilize on other events, because it could be that there already is a stream tech on that event, so you can look after the audio instead. So yeah, that's an area that's definitely something I would hone in on.
So, mm, I think we should talk a little bit about uh, like new entries trying to figure out their place in the industry, as it were.
Mm,
Because, like you said, when I joined up, I was sort of given the generalist skill set. So, make sure you know how to do mostly everything at a basic level, right?
mm,
Would you suggest, say this is Tiernan 2 years back now and he's starting
yeah,
his career again,
yeah.
would you suggest that exactly, or getting the generalist approach and then looking to immediately specialize in something so as to set myself out, well, not set myself apart, as it were?
Um, I
Not like
would,
not like one thing, but like a good area, like a I'm a sound specialist, so I can do A1, A2
yeah,
better than most. If you need like a guaranteed quality sound tech, call me, or I can camera operate and vision mix at the same time. Crazy,
mm,
you know, call me, that kind of thing. Or I can set up a crazy light show.
yeah. I would. Sorry, just repeat the question. So, would you want?
So do you think entry level techs should obviously they know every part of the business,
Yeah,
but do you think they should try and specialize as soon as possible, or should they continue sort of going at a steady pace, sort of figuring out what they like?
yeah. No, I would recommend exploring everything. I wouldn't specialize just straight away personally. I mean, don't get me wrong. If you want to just hone in on audio, there's nothing wrong with that. It'll always be required on an event. Always. It's never not going to be an event without
Yeah.
audio support. So I think if audio is a good kind of area to be have experience in that sense. If you want to move on to camera, I would dip your foot in and out in it on events. Get talking to the cam ops that are on there and say, is there any chance I could shadow you on your next event, or etc. Um, so I wouldn't pigeonhole myself initially. I would keep all options open. I could be open-minded, and it could be getting some experience on vision mixing as well with the camera. So yeah, no, I personally, if it was me, I would keep an open mind, and then as you go along and you get more experience in one area, for example, then just keep your eyes on that basically.
I agree, by the way. I just asked the question just to ask it.
No, sorry, no,
Um,
it's a good question though, because you don't, yeah, it can be. People can't do that, and that's fine, but that's all they do. And you don't want to be doing the same thing every day on every
Actually love it.
event. Yeah, yeah. And multi-skill tech, I think, is a good. And we have got them on our books. I know there's some. I could have a technician. There's probably about, I would say, 20 max on our books. I know I could put that technician on any job. It
Mm.
doesn't matter what is required. I don't even have to tell them
Swiss
the
Army
job
knife.
spec. They can. I know they'll be able to walk in and do it.
All right.
There is some though, the others. If it comes in, I need to just double check. Okay, have you? run up by them, which is perfectly fine. I personally wouldn't want it run by me. But yeah, there are but I think ideally that would be the level you should get to where you don't even need the brief. You can just walk in and say, yeah, I'll do that. Or Joe, I'll jump on that instead. You
Mm.
know. So but with that comes time and experience. And I think if you spoke to any of them now, they probably would say, yeah, they were just open-minded at the begin with and they just explored all options. They didn't pigeonhole themselves into any particular area.
Yeah, I think that's probably the way to go.
Yeah.
Um, in that regard,
Yeah.
sound will always be needed, but the other jobs have heard a couple of times might be threatened by our lovely pal AI soon. So, how
Mm.
much do you think AI is changing the AV industry? And do you think it's a good thing?
Mm. That's a very, very good question. I don't think it's had the impact on the industry as of yet.
Mm,
Personally, I don't think it has.
agreed.
Um, one client did tell me before, but it was kind of secondhand because he was the event they were running was actually all about AI,
Okay.
and apparently the person that was on the event said the speaker had said that AI is going to get rid of 90% jobs in the next 10 years. I personally don't think that's going to happen. It might have some effect to the AV industry, but like I said, it goes back to that client-facing skills.
Yeah.
That's always going to be needed on an event. Um, I can't see that overtaking, a speaker, keynote speaker about to go on live and they have to speak to some robot or check in online or whatever. I don't see that happening. I think there's going to be some human element to the AV industry
Mm,
that's always going to be needed. And I can't see. I personally do. I think I would embrace AI, but I don't think it's going to have a massive impact. I don't think, yeah, because you're still going to need that physical need on events. We do have robotic camera operators,
mm.
like cameras, I should say. So there is, it is probably already there to some extent, but not, I
Not
don't think
just
it's going
fully
to,
overtaking the job.
no, I don't think so, personally. I could be completely wrong, and I could be out of a job in 5 years' time.
Let's hope not.
Yeah. But fingers crossed not. But it could be that yeah, there is that option to do it completely through AI. But will everybody take it up? Probably not. They probably will want that human element as well.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be a bit like when you go into Sainsbury's. You've got the option to go to self-scan, or you've got the options to go to the person that's at the
Yeah.
desk. So yeah. Um, and again, it'll all come down to cost as well. That's a big impact as well. Do
Will it be
places have
cheap?
the budget to do it, or do they want to do it the old model? So yeah, it's good. That's a good question though, and I think we'll have to consider that going forward.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I agree on it probably not having a massive impact, mainly just because of the
mm,
customer service part. Considering how stressed a lot of people doing events are, especially in the corporate space where they half the time have no media training at all. They're just
yeah,
doing this thing because I don't know, their team leader told them to, or
yeah,
they put themselves forward because like it's a big thing for their career and they need to do it.
yeah,
If I was that stressed and my only port of call for me wanting to have a certain graphic up on the wall through the lighting desk was a robot, I'm not sure I'd be terribly happy.
no,
Yeah.
no, no, no. I
Mm,
mean, it's not, and I think. It goes down to different things, trying to get presentations of speakers before an event and they want to change it and that. I
yeah.
can't see how that
All that
you
stuff I think
yeah,
requires us to be adaptable because there's been times where a speaker has changed the presentation and added like 10 slides
yeah,
before
yeah,
the event was due to start,
yeah, yeah,
which was, yeah, doable. Like obviously we
yeah.
covered it immediately, but would a robot do that fast enough? I don't know. I don't
Computer
know.
says no.
Yeah.
Um,
It says,
yeah,
sorry.
yeah. And like I've spoken, to our production team as well, and it varies people. I know they're always saying, yeah, the president want to change their presentations, and I get it because I've done a little bit of public speaking as well, and so I do get where you do want to change it at the last minute,
Yeah.
which they're working towards it. So, but yeah, I can't see how any AI invention will actually help solve that. So, but who knows?
Oh yeah, we'll see. I don't
Yeah,
think it'll happen in either of our lifetimes, probably, if it were to happen
no,
properly.
no,
It has to be
no.
cheap first, and it's so expensive right now.
Exactly. Yeah, and big budgets. That's a big concern with a lot of organizations, obviously,
Also,
because
the
it's
environmental impact of
yeah,
a lot of AI's carbon footprint because you have to give them so much power.
yes,
Same concern they
yeah,
had with Bitcoin back in the day, and even that still isn't really sustainable. So
no, no, exactly, and it's yeah, but we'll see.
we'll see. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think yeah, that's pretty good, man.
well done. Thank you. Thank you. It's good to catch up with you again. And
Agreed.
yeah, it's exciting times, an exciting industry. I think judging by how this last quarter has gone, and speaking to other industry peers, it's going to be an exciting 2025. There's lots of things happening, so
Yeah, feels like we're just on the
yeah.
super
This
incline.
year's been so weird. And not even in audiovisual live events, broadcasts, it's every industry. Like, 'cause I have friends obviously that work in different industries, and it's just been a very weird year to begin with. And then this last quarter has just taken off completely.
Mm.
So yeah,
Thank you for joining me now.
thank you, Tiernan.
It's been
Yeah.
a pleasure.